Hello, and welcome to Ask Nikki Novo. In this show, I'll be performing live readings for our listeners, plus we'll be exploring pop culture through a spiritual lens as I read the energy of celebrities and trending stories. It will be the best reading these celebrities never asked for. Get your heart ready because you're about to receive spiritual guidance for your everyday challenges. My friends, welcome to another episode of Ask Nikki Novo. There is so much medicine in this episode, specifically for those of us feeling stuck or those of us moving into the next level. Plus, we get to read Kim Kardashian. How fun is that? She recently turned 40, got divorced, dated Pete Davidson, started 2 new businesses. And we just want to know, we just want to ask the soul of Kim K, what is going on? Is this an uplevel or a midlife crisis? Let's get to it.
Hi, Nikki. I had a question that I wanted to submit, and it has to do with the feeling of stuckness. And what I mean by that is just feeling like you're stuck in just stagnation, not able to propel forward. I have meditated every day, asked my spirit guides for downloads and signs and synchronicities, and still feeling like I'm not getting any messages or any clear guidance, and feeling as though I am searching and searching for my soul purpose and not really finding clear answers. So just wanted to put that out there. Hopefully you can answer this for me to provide some clarity. Thank you so much.
Hi, Kay. I love this question. I think so many people can relate, and you did such a good job of speaking it. So what I'm getting from what you're saying, so I'm just going to kind of repeat what I was getting from you. It's kind of like, I've been doing all the things, I've been meditating, I've been trying to connect to spirit guides and all that. But I'm not getting any messages, not getting any signs. And a girl could just use a sign every once in a while. So I get it. I've definitely been there myself, and I'm there every once in a while too, no matter like how strong my skills may be or all of the tools that I have. There are days that I'm like, I feel like I'm here all by myself. Nobody's talking to me. I do not feel connected. This butterfly is just a freaking butterfly, means nothing else. Right? So, I just wanted you to know that like, you're not doing anything wrong, you're not broken, or your spirit guides have not gone on vacation. So the first thing what I was getting was obviously, hey, look, your question got picked. So we hear you, you're definitely, we get a lot of questions. And, for some reason, my producer gave me this one, and here we are. So that in itself is a nice little like, hello, you're not alone. We definitely hear you. There was also this feeling, first of all, your spirit guide, which is something interesting to know. And we see this all the time in like soul seeker and soul teacher, people that get these spirit guides that are not as straightforward. So your guide was giving me this vibe that it was like one of those like annoying therapists that you go to, and you just like want them to give you the answer, and they're like, well, so tell me, how do you feel when that happens to you? And you're like, no, you tell me. So your guide is kind of like that. Your guide is almost a little poetic, a little quiet, and kind of like really looking for you to, I don't want to say figure it out because that's not the right word, but to come to the awarenesses. It also made me feel like when my kids were in Montessori, the Montessori teachers would always tell us like not to interfere when they were like struggling. So let's say my son would be like building a tower of blocks, and he was having a little hard time because he was 3, and it's hard to put the blocks and not get them to fall. And of course, as a parent, I would just want to jump in and be like, oh, look, this is how you do it, and I can make it better for him. And they were like, no, don't do that. Like, let him learn his own strength and learn from his mistakes and all that kind of stuff. So you definitely have a little bit of that going on too. There's definitely this feeling of like the divine guidance that's around you wants you, like, it's not going to give you all these answers, and it's not going to be super clear, and you will have to try things that you think you're being called to and seeing if it works. And if it doesn't work, and maybe a little bit of failure, a little bit of success. So it's not going to be all this clear information and then go. So there's definitely like, maybe by the fourth time you do the block towers, you get it right. But 1, 2, 3 might be a little off. And that seems like something you're trying to avoid, which I think a lot of us get into intuition for that reason, right? Like, or spirit guides and meditation, because like we want to like bypass those errors, or the things or the twisty roads. And the twisty roads is actually what helps us become the person that can build that badass like block tower. Like it was those 3 times that it didn't work out that actually made me the person that knows how to make a good block tower. So to not be afraid of going with what like you're kind of getting, what you kind of feel like is inside, but you still don't know it's like 100% like guarantee, and taking small steps towards it. And knowing that as you take those small steps, that's when you're going to hear them more and more. But there's definitely this feeling of like, you just need to do and try something, like something action oriented. I was also getting that you also want to remember that the connection to all this divine support that's with us, which is like spirit guides, even like ancestors, just all that divine guidance that's with us. You have ancestors with you too, okay? And your ancestors were like kind of trying to remind you. I don't know if you come from like a religious background, but they're kind of trying to remind you like working with the divine is not an exchange, but a relationship. So it's not like I'm going to go into meditation, ask my spirit guides for a sign, and like it's just an exchange. It is a relationship. Like in relationships, sometimes there are days where you talk to a friend and like, I don't know, you didn't get anything for yourself in that day, but you just like hung out and you spent time together, and that was enough. And there wasn't any of these huge like aha moments. It was just, a moment. So we are not friends with people because we're trying to see what we're going to get out of it, but we're friends because like we want to be in community, we want to be in friendship. So when you think about your spirit guides or your spirituality, see if you can think about like what would it look like to be in relationship, to want to connect to the divine, because that's how I want to live. Like that's the kind of relationship I want to have, but not only to get an exchange. At some point you definitely get an exchange, right? Like same thing with friends. Like when you're struggling and you're super annoyed at your partner, you're going to call your friend, and your friend's going to listen to you for 30 minutes, and it's going to be about you for 30 minutes, right? And you're going to get like all that in that time of like developing that relationship. You get you get 30 minutes just for you because you have a relationship with somebody, and it's not just like a transaction. So that is something too to think about, like the way, because your crown chakra, which is the center all the way in the top, which is our spiritual connection, is definitely trying to expand. But there's like a misunderstanding, like you have like a little bit of like a right side little cloud where it's almost like linear and transactional in the way that you think about the divine connection, which I think all of us have been there before. And I see that when I teach all the time, that it's like, my spirit guide's not talking to me. And it's like, well, you got to have a relationship with it. I went to Catholic school, and I like one thing I did learn from there was they would always say that like you have to go to church on Sunday, which I thought was super annoying. Like I was like, can I just pray at home? But they were like, this is how you build a relationship. So it was just kind of like a sign of like, I'm going every Sunday. I'm going to sit with Jesus, and maybe 3 Sundays in a row I get nothing, and it's not exciting. But like that fourth time I get something, and I was like, whoa, it's all worth it. I think about that too when I like go hiking and I go into the nature. Like, some days are no big deal. I just go there. Hey guys, nice to be here. I don't really get much. But then there's like, after doing that consistently, the 5th, 6th hike, I really get like a explosion, almost like a journey. And I don't get that just out of nowhere. I get that from the consistency of going 5 times before, and it builds up. And then I finally get like that release. So that's something you're definitely looking to also learn. Like you're not going to go into meditation just to get something. You're going to go because you feel like it's good for you and you like the relationship. As for your purpose, I like tried to go into the book of purpose for you in your Akashic records, and they were like, they basically closed the book for me. And this is where like your therapist, your therapist spirit guide came out and was like, no, 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 close the book and ask her. And kind of posed a question again, and I was like, oh, she's not gonna like this, but you're gonna find it. But right now, the question to ask yourself is, what do you want to be true? Like, if there's five things swirling around you and you're like, oh gosh, I would love it to be true if I was meant to be an author. Like, if that was my purpose, like, I would love for that to be true. And I would be super disappointed if I was meant to be a second grade teacher, right? So your guide is like, what is in your heart that you wish would be true? And that's not to say that that is your purpose, but they're trying to get you there, like that, get to that place that the answers are within, and learning to trust yourself and take action on those like small little inner trusts that we do have. And that's really like the first stage. So you're at the very beginning of developing a relationship with the divine guidance that's around you, which is so exciting. And with time, you just get deeper and deeper and more into it, and you understand them more and more. And that's the goal. So keep going, Kay. I hope that was helpful. And I'm sure that was helpful to many of you listening, because God knows we've all been there.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for doing this. And I wanted to say thank you for your beautiful work as well, because I always listen to your podcast and it always manages to lift me up when I need it. So thank you. My question is regarding an up level. I've had a lot of changes over the last year, and I truly feel like I've arrived at a new season of my life. Amongst other things, I quit my job. I started working as a freelancer. I started working on loads of passion projects. I financially up-leveled a lot, making an incredible travel soon that I booked, which is out of my comfort zone. And all these things feel great, but at the same time, I'm noticing myself hesitating a little bit, because it feels so big and so everything feels very scary at the same time. So I was wondering if you might have a tip on how I can fully embrace this new season of my life. Thank you so much. Or what is blocking me? Thank you.
Hi, Julia. What a beautiful time for you. If no one has told you, I'm so proud of you. It's such a big deal to get to a place where you have shifted from one vibration to another, which leads us into an up level. So for those of you who maybe don't know what an up level is, or if let's just want to get on the same page with me on like what an up level means, to me, it's like the work that I've been doing maybe to shift myself to the dreams that I have, my goals. I finally have landed there. I've manifested that. I'm in this place where I had envisioned for myself for a long time. And now I'm like finally here. But what's funny about up level is that once you arrive, it feels a little weird. It feels almost like I'm a little girl wearing my mommy's high heel shoes, and I almost like don't know how to fit into this new place. So it's kind of a funny thing. It's like the thing that we wanted, or even it's the result of some intention, visualization, working towards goals, like hard work. And then when it's here, it's like we don't always know how to handle it. So that sounds like where you are, Julia. But the first thing I was getting for you was to take a minute to applaud yourself. So this is such a big deal. And what's happening is almost your energy was hanging up more like in your third eye and like the upper chakras. And it's really trying to ground into your body, which is like the idea of like, can I be present in this moment? Like, can I be present in this up level now that I've going on this trip and I'm making more money? Like, can I actually be present in this moment and not be in my head about it, or, all that. So your energy is definitely trying to come into your body. So just regular grounding practices can be helpful. Nature, kind of seeing your energy going through your body and into your legs, that will always be helpful. But also applauding and taking a minute. So even if it means, maybe that trip will be a little bit of a celebration, but even if you want to do a little celebration for yourself, like get yourself a little cake and say, hey, Julia, congratulations for XYZ. And really like give yourself a moment to cement and ground the end of a chapter because it's almost like it feels like where you are in life is almost like the end of a season. So, when you're watching a Netflix series and like you've been binging and you finally get to like the last episode. And the last episode is always something big. Usually there's a wedding or there's like some sort of, if you're watching a high school movie, it's like a high school dance, right? There's always something. And that is like really where you are. And we need to like celebrate the end of this season. So if you want to make a little ceremony, a little ritual that cements that, that seems like that would be very helpful and help you like come into your body and really accept this moment. It also seems like your solar plexus, which is that energy center in the stomach, was really lighting up to me. So it was kind of a little uncomfortable with accepting that I am here, like really just believing that I've made it here or that I'm worthy of being here or that I deserve to be here. I felt like some of the new people around you, like maybe people at work or something, it looks like they're going to mirror to you like what you are worthy of and where you have actually arrived to. So it made me remember of like when I lived in LA and I worked at Fox Searchlight, I really admired a lot of the people that I was working around. And I was like, wow, I was so impressed by these people. And it was hard for me to believe that I landed there because I was like, how did this like little Miami girl like sneak in through the back door to working at this company and being around these like really inspiring people, really smart people? But energy matches energy. So the only reason I was in that room, I didn't know it at the time, was because like I was worthy of being in that room because I deserved to be in that room because there was something that I was doing for months, weeks, years before that brought me to this, that gave me this momentum, the hard work I was, whatever work I was doing that brought me to this place. So it looks like to take also a moment to see anybody around you currently that maybe is new in your life that seems to be close to you, to that you admire, to recognize that what you're admiring in them is also a reflection of like who you are and where you are at and like how worthy you are and where you've arrived to. So that's important to see that because that also grounds this moment a little bit more. I also see like this is a great time for reconnecting to your spirituality. Like, so it felt like gratitude was going to bring you back to spirit, bring you back to any spiritual beliefs you have. So a lot of like gratitude and just feeling, because it looks like what's most important about this phase right now is to be able to really be present in the accomplishments and like where you're at. And it looks like connecting to spirit, if that's, through nature or whatever that may be, deep gratitude is also going to anchor you more into this moment. Lastly, you're definitely having an up level in your confidence. So your ability to believe in yourself, see yourself, not really believe because you're there, but it felt more like good mantras would be like, I deserve this, I'm worthy of this, and I'm open to more. So it felt to me almost like to not sabotage yourself and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like how I snuck in here, in this moment, but instead being like, I deserve this. I'm worthy of this. And I'm so excited for more. Like life just keeps getting better because it does look like you have some momentum here where like this doesn't have to be the end of this expansion that you're going through. It looks like there is an opportunity to have more expansive moments and actually to not have barely any setbacks or anything like that, that you can keep up with this beautiful energy, this momentum, but you would have to speak into it. So you'd have to be like, I deserve this and I'm open to more, because it looks like there's even like more doors that can also open for you, but you have to really speak into it. Life keeps getting better. Can't wait to see what else comes my way, that kind of stuff. Also, when you go on that trip and you're ever feeling uncomfortable, like let's say you're at a really fancy restaurant that like you couldn't afford before. This actually happened to me recently when I was in our new home in our bathroom. Our bathroom is like really nice. And there was just like a moment that I was like, oh, I don't deserve this. So look out for those moments like where you're like, oh, I feel uncomfortable at this restaurant. I feel uncomfortable at this spa, like whatever it may be. And take a moment to celebrate yourself. Be like, Julia, you deserve this. Like you are not here by mistake. Like you brought yourself here. And to really like, even if you need to give yourself a little hug and just ground in that moment, it seems like grounding in all these little moments are very important because it's actually, there's like more to come for you and it'll go faster if you can ground yourself in these moments and not self-sabotage. So thank you so much for the question. Such a helpful question and just a good reminder for those of us who are in a season of, wow, I did this, but also super scared. Are you ready for a hot hit, y'all? Okay. Kim K. Of course, we were going to read her at some point, right? I mean, she has been highly requested and maybe not for the reasons you think, but more so like, hey, what's going on? Is she up leveling? You know, she just turned 40. She got divorced. She dated Pete Davidson. She wore that Marilyn Monroe dress and she started new business ventures. So what is going on? Curious minds, nosy people, we would like to know. Before we get started, can I please read you my podcast disclaimer? I have no personal connection to Kim Kardashian, so please take what I'm saying during this podcast as strictly my opinion and what came through to me as an intuitive download and not basis in fact from what I have learned from Kim Kardashian or anyone with firsthand knowledge of Kim Kardashian. This reading and the information I'm sharing is for entertainment purposes only. So first, of course, I had to ask for permission. Like, is this possible? And wasn't sure if I was going to get it. And she was like, her soul was like, of course. The more people that say my name, the better is kind of what she was saying. Her energy was not what you would think. I was getting very like fairy vibes, very like wings and just this like kind of light, fun, I know what I'm doing kind of energy. Very intuitive. Like her actual aura was purple, which is the third eye color, right? And that's like our psychic center, a very intuitive person. So Kim K, if you need some mentorship and how to activate those intuitive gifts, give your girl a holler. But yeah, so intuitive. And that seems to be like kind of one of her gifts to be able to like see, which makes sense, right? What's trending, what's coming, all that stuff. She's also, I think, similar to Elon Musk. I think a lot of people think like, is she a good guy or is she a bad guy? Like it's hard to tell. And in her case, I actually got very strong light worker energy, which is basically souls that come here to raise the consciousness. So definitely on the side of light. So it seems like her soul is here. Some of like her purposes has to do with raising the consciousness. She's a mirror to the collective is what she was explaining to me, that basically like where she's at kind of shows the collective where the collective is at. That's like a big part of her role. Like, oh, are we super into, I don't know, like influence and appearance and stuff like that? Okay, cool. That's where the collective is as well. So I thought that was interesting. And I feel like almost I want to see where she's at right now to see like if that feels like a mirror to where our collective consciousness is, because that's what I was getting. Now, to answer that question about like, is she in an up level? What I was getting the most was that her soul was like, I'm in a stage of freedom. I can breathe is kind of what the spirit was saying. And that has come because it almost, which I wonder if some of that has to do with the end of the show, right? Because I know they have that new show on Hulu, but the actual like original show, that contract was over and now they're doing this like different one on Hulu. And it does seem like there was like this pressure on her end to like carry the whole family on her back. And maybe that has a lot to do with like when the dad died too. Like it seemed like she felt very responsible for carrying the family and moving the family ahead. And that now it's almost like everybody's in a good place. Seems like she's had some mother healing. So healing with her own mom and boundaries and all that stuff. So now there's just like more space for herself and to really ask herself bigger questions. It looks like she's definitely breaking into the true self. Like this is the path we see her like discovering the true self. And she has new values right now, it looks like. So instead of, She's looking for like impact over influence. So I have a feeling, guys, so let me make a prediction and see if this comes to be. But it does seem like the next relationship, like long-term relationship that she'll be in is going to be with like a very wealthy person that we might like never have heard of the person, like not a famous person, but a lot of wealth. Because it looks like she is getting to this place where she's recognizing that money is how the world works, and she's interested in impact. So even though, of course, she in her own right has a lot of money, but it's like doesn't compare to some of that like very wealthy, man, whatever. So my prediction is that we will see her next long-term relationship. Doesn't mean that there might not be some in between. Is going to be with like I put like very rich man, like very wealthy. Also, it looks like what we're going to start to see now is a few female mentors come into her space that are not connected to celebrity life or are not celebrities. It looks like there's going to be female mentorship having to do with, I saw like almost like tech industry or Silicon Valley. So I don't know if it's like necessarily tech or like investment firms or something. So we're going to see some like women. She's looking for new influences that are not like the regular circle that she runs in. Because believe it or not, like even though obviously so many people know her, it does look like she has a tight circle that she runs in. And like that she like that truly influence her. And then it looks like she's kind of going outside of who influences her. And we might not see it, but it looks like she's going to start to make new relationships with people that influence her. I kind of see like that's almost like what a Pete Davidson situation was. It almost looks like, wow, this is a new energy. I'm so fascinated by this. Like, this is a whole new way of thinking, like humor and all that. And kind of this world is a little different than mine. So it was really an opportunity to go outside of her regular circle. That was more what that was about. And just to kind of circle back, I thought was interesting is that she's a healer. Like it looks like she has been responsible for healing a lot of people around her. And she was almost like trying to get them to a stable place. And like for some reason, she feels like these people are there. And that's why she can move on to no more I have to, but more I want to. So that looks like a new mantras too is like, I don't have to do these things anymore. These are the things I want to do. So we're moving, which is so interesting because like, I mean, I think all of us can relate to that, sometimes even those first early years in your career or first early years of being a parent, there's a lot of, I have to do this. I have to do this. It's just not the season for me to do a bunch of, I want to. And it looks like and it's crazy to think that because I mean, I think we could maybe be like, please, 10 years ago, you were in the position to do what I want to. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Like, it really does seem that there was a lot of agreements and like almost like debts I need to pay, not financial debts, but like agreements, contracts that I've signed up for. And now I'm moving more into, I'm moving more into impact over influence. So she's also going to go through a stage of learning a lot, like consuming new information from people that are outside of her circle I feel like this decade, this is crazy, but I almost feel like since we know her for being like the original influencer and this celebrity, but I actually feel by the end of this decade, she's going to be known for something very different. Like actually, we're almost going to forget that she was a Kardashian or on the show. Like that's not going to be her brand, believe it or not. That's the feeling I'm getting that by the end, like as we reach towards the 50s, that word impact and who she ends up, getting together with and all that stuff, it looks like it's really going to change the way the world sees her. So I'm really excited for her. And I was happy to see that she's on the good side, guys. She's on the side of light. I hope that was helpful. That was fun for me. And I guess we'll just have to see where she goes. I leave you with this blessing, a sacred song written and performed by my dear friend, Lindsay Simsick. This is Clarity. Yeah.